So I'm going to show you how to use interpolation to estimate the value of the median. So looking at some measurements, comparative measurements of say some lengths of branches from a tree in centimetres or twigs, perhaps as they're quite small. Anyway, that's not really what matters, just really the method of how we find our median value. So let's just have a look at the table itself to start with. We're told there are 5 twigs or branches that have a length between 0 and up to and including 9 centimetres. Then we're told that there are 10 between 10 and 19. So what we'll notice is that 9 and the 10, there isn't a gap. So as it's been a continuous scale, so there is a gap, obviously 1. So as there's a continuous scale, the end of this interval is at 9.5, and the start of this interval is also at 9.5. Because the highest value you can go up to, but not include, from 9 when you round up, is from, well, when you round down, rather, is 9.5, 9.4. Right. And that 9.5 will then round up to 10. So it's important because we need to know the start of each interval. So then we look to find the median value. So we need to know the total number of branches that have been measured. So we find that by adding up the frequency. So 5 and 10 is 15, 35, 65, 18 and 4 is 20, so that's 85. I'll check that once again. 15, 20, 35, 65, and 20, 85. So we've got 85 scores altogether. So you've got the first score, second score, third score, and the first. If you look at the first, well, we don't actually know the first 3 scores are somewhere between 0 and 9. So we would take the midpoint for that if we were calculating the mean. The point being that they're in a kind of order, where we estimate these scores to be 0.5, so the first 3 are 5, and then we'd estimate the next scores to be at 15, and there'd be 10 of them, and so on. But what we're trying to find out is the value of the median. If there are 85 scores, the middle score, the middle score can be found adding 1 and dividing by 2. So that gives me 86 divided by 2. So we're looking for the value of the 43rd score. Okay, the value of the 43rd score. So you've got to find out which interval will the 43rd score be in. So if we do cumulative frequency, this will help. So cumulative frequency is up to including the last value. So obviously it's 5 in the first. That'll be 5 plus 10, which is 15. And then it will be 15 plus 20, which is 30. And 30 and 30 is 60. Just look carefully then at this. This tells us the 60 scores between 0 and 39. There were 30 scores between 0 and 29. So our 43rd score is in this interval. So we now know the median lies in the interval here. So median is somewhere in there. So if we take the start of that interval, the start of the interval is 29.5. Okay, that's the start of the interval because we're measuring on a continuous scale. There's a gap between 29 and 30. You might see other questions where these two numbers are the same, and then obviously it would be 30, but in this particular case, 29.5. Now, we want to know how far are we into that interval. Well, we want the 43rd score, and there were 30 scores before it. So we must be the 43rd take 30. So in that interval with a 13th score. Now, as we're doing what's called linear interpolation, and we're assuming that there's a linear sort of rise, if you like, of scores through that interval. And so there are 30 scores in the interval itself, and we're the 13th out of 30. So we're kind of adding on a fraction of the way that we're through the interval. We need to know the interval width as well to apply that fraction to the width. Now the width is from 29.5 up to 39.5, so it's a width of 10. A common mistake is to think the width is 9. Again, these are slightly more fiddly when we deal with continuous data. And we can tell you with continuous data when the joins are not the same, or at the end of one is not the beginning of the other. Now, so it's the interval start. I'll bring this up. So it's the interval start. once we've found where, we find the median value, we find out which interval it is, the interval start plus the fraction of the way through the interval we are. So remember I did 43 subtract 30. There are 30 scores that were not in the intervals before the interval we were in, so we take them away. So we have the 13th score out of 30, and we simply multiply that fraction by the interval width. So in a sense, what we're actually doing is we're saying that we're at 29. The interval goes from 29.5 to 39.5. We're saying that out of there's 30 scores altogether in the interval. We're the 13th, so we go up like that, and then we get our estimate there. Okay, and that's how. Now the 13 over 30 times 10 will simply give me a value of 10. So we have to add on to the 29.5. Okay, that's this part here. So I think that amount there, and it's added on to the 29.5. Now I haven't brought my calculator up with me, which is slightly annoying. And the 10 will cancel into the 3. 13 over 3, 13 over 3, I'll do this manually again, 13 over 3 is not 13 over 4.33, so it's 29.5 plus 4.33, so the answer is 38.33. So the answer is 33.83, 33.83. And that is the linear interpolation method used to calculate the median value.